The night was too quiet. Mark sat at the edge of his worn-out couch, staring at the unpaid bills scattered across the table. His hands trembled, not from the cold, but from the weight of everything crashing down on him at once. The power was about to be cut. Rent was overdue. And in the next room, his 6-year-old daughter slept peacefully, unaware that her father was running out of hope. He whispered to himself, "I don't know how much longer I can do this." Before we go further, take a second to support stories like this. If you believe kindness still matters in this world, make sure to subscribe, like, and share your thoughts in the comments. You're watching Kindness Story Hub, where real emotions meet powerful stories that stay with you long after they end. Mark hadn't always felt this broken. Just 2 years earlier, life was simple. He had a stable job at a small construction company, a loving wife named Emily, and their bright little girl, Sophie. Their home was filled with laughter, messy art projects, and bedtime stories. Then everything changed. Emily got sick. What started as fatigue turned into something far worse. Hospital visits became routine, and bills piled up faster than Mark could manage. He tried to stay strong, working extra shifts, holding Sophie close, and pretending everything would be okay. But it wasn't. Emily passed away on a rainy afternoon that Mark would never forget. The silence she left behind was louder than anything he had ever heard. After that, life became a constant struggle. Mark had to quit his job to take care of Sophie full-time. Without a steady income, the savings quickly disappeared. He picked up odd jobs when he could, fixing fences, painting walls, mowing lawns, but it was never enough. Still, every night, he smiled for Sophie. He made her peanut butter sandwiches, read her favorite stories, and kissed her goodnight like everything was normal. But behind closed doors, he was falling apart. That night, the night everything nearly broke him, Mark had reached his limit. He looked at the final notice from the electric company. Disconnection scheduled. The words felt like a punch to the chest. He rubbed his face, exhausted. Maybe she'd be better off without me," he muttered under his breath. The thought scared him. He stood up, pacing the room. His heart raced. He wasn't thinking clearly anymore. The pressure, the loneliness, the fear, it all became too much. Then suddenly. Knock. Knock. Mark froze. It was midnight. No one ever came by this late. His first instinct was to ignore it. Maybe it was nothing. Maybe it was someone at the wrong house. But then it came again. Knock. 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 Slower this time. Gentler. Mark hesitated, then slowly walked to the door. He peeked through the small window but couldn't see clearly in the darkness. "Who is it?" he called out, his voice unsure. A calm voice answered, "I'm sorry to bother you this late, but I think I'm at the right place." Mark opened the door slightly. Standing there was an older woman, probably in her late 60s. She wore a simple coat and held a small box in her hands. Her eyes were kind, but there was something deeper in them, like she understood more than she was saying. "I know this might sound strange," she said softly, "but I was told someone here could use a little help." Mark frowned. "I think you have the wrong house." The woman shook her head gently. "I don't think I do." Mark sighed, already overwhelmed. "Look, I appreciate it, but we're fine." The woman didn't argue. she simply held out the box. "Please," she said. "Just take it. No strings attached." Mark hesitated. Every part of him wanted to say no. Pride, frustration, exhaustion, they all told him to shut the door. But something in her voice stopped him. Slowly, he reached out and took the box. "Thank you," she said with a warm smile. Before Mark could ask anything else, she turned and walked away into the darkness. "Wait," Mark called out. But she was already gone. Mark closed the door, confused. He looked down at the box in his hands. It wasn't very big, but it felt heavier than it looked. He set it on the table and stared at it for a moment. Then, carefully, he opened it. Inside were groceries, fresh bread, milk, canned food, fruit. Enough to last several days. Mark blinked in disbelief. But that wasn't all. Underneath the food was an envelope. His hands shook as he opened it. Inside was cash. More than he had seen in months. And a note. He unfolded it slowly. It read, "You don't know me, and I don't know you. But I know what it feels like to struggle and feel alone. Years ago, someone helped me when I had nothing. Tonight, it's my turn to pass that kindness forward. You're stronger than you think. Don't give up. A friend." Mark sat down heavily. For a moment, he just stared at the note. Then the tears came. Not quiet tears. Not controlled. But deep, overwhelming sobs that he had been holding back for months. He covered his face, crying like he hadn't since the day Emily died. Because for the first time in a long time, he didn't feel alone. "Daddy." "There's food," she said excitedly, her eyes wide. Mark smiled through tired eyes. "Yeah, sweetheart. Looks like we're having a good breakfast today." She hugged him tightly. "I knew things would get better." Maybe, just maybe, she was right. Over the next few weeks, things slowly began to change. The money from the envelope helped Mark catch up on some bills. The food gave him breathing room. He started looking for small opportunities to move forward again. He reached out to an old coworker and found part-time work. It wasn't much, but it was a start. He talked to neighbors more. Asked for help when he needed it, something he had always been too proud to do. And little by little, life began to rebuild. Months later, Mark was in a better place. Not perfect. Not easy. But stable. One evening, as he tucked Sophie into bed, she asked, "Daddy, do you think we'll ever see that lady again?" Mark smiled softly. "I don't know. Maybe we won't." Then he said, "We say thank you by doing the same for someone else someday." He took a deep breath. Then he knocked. Knock. Knock. As he stood there waiting, he felt something he hadn't felt in a long time. Hope. Because kindness, once given, doesn't just end. And sometimes, all it takes, is one knock at the right moment to change a life forever. If this story touched your heart, remember this: you never know what someone is going through. A small act of kindness, something as simple as a meal, a kind word, or even just showing up, can be the very thing that saves someone from giving up. Be that person. Because the world doesn't change all at once.